Hello. I have a stinker of a cat on my lap who is demanding pits. Pits, pits, pits. Is that right, Rosa? Yes? Oh. Why is the... Oh, right, because I'm not in voice. Well, welcome to this little game called Victoria 3. It's Friday afternoon. Uh, and so when did this game come out? It was like last, I think, over a year ago now, right? It was last November. Look this up. Oh, it was October, end of October, and I did a stream with Mary and Sonoso. That was like an all-day stream, like the longest stream that I think I've done, and we said, I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of this game. And then we never streamed it again. And the reason for that was not that we haven't played it. I have played a bazillion hours of this game. Again, I can look up and tell you. It seems that I played about 400 hours of this game, which I guess is actually, considering Paradox games, maybe not that much, but you know, they just haven't been streamed. Just kind of coincided with when I stopped doing regular streams outside of Saturdays. So people haven't really seen this game if they are not playing it. And I thought it would be nice to play a little bit of it casually by myself on stream and kind of walk through, try to be explaining the game, because I know it's a very intimidating game. I mean, Paradox games broadly are to people, and this one is actually fairly different from other Paradox games, so even if you've played those, maybe not as easy to get into. And there are also a lot of, I think compared to something like Crusader Kings 3, which is the, most recent big Paradox game before this, which is still a couple years older, I believe. I'd have to go look that up as well. Victoria 3 has definitely been received more ambivalently. There's a lot of, I think if you are at all aware of the kind of conversations around Victoria 3, there's a lot of negativity around certain things. Some of which are stupid and some of which are not so stupid. And so I'd kind of like to speak a little bit to those two as we go through things. Because obviously, I mean, you can tell from, again, that I played a bazillion out of this game. I do really like this game. I think this game is really good and really, honestly, like, important, kind of, in a certain way. Or at least, like, it is doing a thing that basically nothing else, the other Paradox games are not attempting. And I think it succeeds at those things not quite as well as other Paradox games. Like, again, you may draw the comparison to Crusader Kings. I think Crusader Kings 3 is extremely good at the stuff that it is trying to do. But also they've kind of have refined it a lot. And there's still a lot of problems with Crusader Kings, to be honest. Vicky 3 is not as good at doing the things it's trying to do. But I think the thing it's trying to do, honestly, a lot more interesting. Even though I really like Crusader Kings 3. And I also think, like, there's just less it's just more. It's just like there's less to draw on, and it's like what they're trying to do is more ambitious and more complicated because this is a game about the globalization of economy. This is a game about industrialization and capitalism, like modern. It's a game about modernity, and trying to actually systematize that stuff is just a very different thing from trying to systemize like feudal relation networks, patronage networks. Hello in the chat. Okay, Rosa, what do you need? This is my cat is asking for something. All right, there you go. There you go. All right, she's happy. Okay. So all that said, let's pick a country here. Yeah, if you're not familiar with this game, you can pick any of these countries that are filled in. The countries that are not filled in, or these sort of polities, whatever you're going to call them, these are what are called decentralized nations, decentralized powers. You can see it basically means areas of human settlement that are not organized into something we would recognize as a state at the start date of this time period, that don't have sort of centralized administrations that can conduct diplomacy and action and stuff like that. They do still act on the world. They're not like empty territory. They're just not playable, and they have different mechanics. And this start date, by the way, if you notice, is beginning of 1836. So basically, after the Napoleonic Wars are all over, sort of the beginning of, Victoria has not yet ascended to the British throne, but she will shortly after the start of the game. And of course, this is generally the era of British world domination. Lord McCarl says, Vicky is clearly trying to gamify those systems and makes it way simpler to be approachable to general game concepts. Yeah, I think that's a big, there's a lot of tension in this game. And I was talking, I mentioned alluded to earlier about some of the negative reception of this game. And honestly, a lot of that is the way in which it is not like other Paradox games. It is trying to do something different, and there are a lot of people who are like, why does it not work like other Paradox games in certain ways? And so there is so much tension in terms of what do different players want from this game, and what does the company, Paradox as a developer, or really as a publisher, want from the game, which is, to sell copies, to sell DLC, to make money. And the ways that those affect kind of decisions about what goes into the game and how it gets its ongoing development, because like all Paradox games, this is something that has a lot of it is a living game. It is not quite, it's not like a live service game in the parlance of, the modern parlance. But it is a game that is kind of built on ongoing development and big changes to it, and it has had really big changes within the past. When was 1.5? It's in November-ish. Within the past, month and a half, 2 months or something, there was so about a year after release, this big patch 1.5 that fundamentally changed the military systems, which is a big deal. I think I'm gonna play Mexico for this, which is a very standard country in my opinion. Very pretty middle of the road country. The big problem with Mexico is you play Austria. I mean, you could play Austria. I'm not gonna play Austria, I think, but certainly they are. Never seen anyone play Austria. The thing about Austria, I think, is, just to briefly touch on it, I was really interested in playing Austria before the game came out, because this is a really interesting period for the Habsburg state. The Holy Roman Empire has been dismantled by Napoleon, The Habsburgs kind of consolidated, responded to that by consolidating the traditional Habsburg lands plus Hungary and some of these other territories into this kind of Austrian state, although it is still, but it's under immense tension over this period. And it is in conflict as well for trying to regain control of the German sphere, which it used to have control over through the Holy Roman Empire, which has been lost. And I think that the game, just like the sort of nationalist tensions that really dominate Austria or the Habsburg lands through this period, just don't really. The systems of this game are just not currently built such that those really play a big role, and that is one of the things that I think is missing in this game. It's something definitely they're aware of and will be coming, but I think for right now Austria is not super interesting. The main thing you're doing is trying to play with the German the struggle for controlling Germany, for all these the little states in here, and that's not super exciting to me compared to the potential of optional 1848 type dynamic. And there is a journal entry for the 1848 revolutions, which used to trigger a lot. I don't feel like I see it trigger very much anymore. But it is also specific to Europe, and it's kind of the way that stuff works in general. It's just it's stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, I'm gonna go over here with Mexico. Again, other kind of standard middle of the road countries. I feel like Persia, which got buffed in the most recent patch actually quite a bit. Let's see here. I mean, the Ottomans are interesting. Egypt is interesting, but you do have to fight some big wars there. Obviously, any of the powers in Europe are very playable, very easy to just sort of sit down and do. Russia and China are absolutely fucking enormous, and East India Company as well. Japan is interesting. Sokoto is actually a really neat country to play, I think, as a kind of African power. I don't really like playing in South America, to be honest, even though they just added a bunch of content to it, mostly because of the construction efficiency modifiers that are everywhere in the entire continent. I find very annoying, but anyway, regardless, let's yeah, there is a journal entry for it's not tied to 1848 specifically, but it's about the rise of radicals, and it starts spawning radical leaders, radical ideology that is not radicals as in these guys up here. It's yeah, I don't remember how it works, but because I haven't played in Europe in a while. But is it for Austria specifically? No, it's for Europe generally. It applies across Europe, I believe. Okay, well, let's not look at that right now. So, okay, we're playing Mexico. The international situation for Mexico, basically don't have to look south at the moment. Central America here, this is the United, God, what is it actually called officially? The United States of Central America, I think. This is going to blow up shortly after the start. It's kind of railroaded. Federal Republic of Central America. That might be what I think it had. Yeah, it's kind of multiple ways that it's referred to as, or different names as it kind of changed. Big, of course, is you can see this sort of number here, and this troops. If we zoom in, we can actually see our little encampments. Yeah, I love these diorama sort of yeah, I guess they're just diorama. I'm trying to think if there's a more specific term for these, the kind of battle diorama look. But little models. Yeah, we are at war with Texas, breakaway Mexican province. So this is effectively a nationalist secession, I guess you could, like separatism, kind of compare it to that as a. But of course, this is like, you know, U.S. white immigrants who moved into the Texas region of Mexico and formed an army and tried to secede from Mexico for the purposes of, like, I mean, Texas became independent briefly, but like the goal was always to join the United States, and a big part of that motivation is Mexico. We look at our laws real quick down here in the slavery category. Mexico has already banned slavery. There is no slavery in Mexico, at least in the way the game defines it, chattel slavery. Whereas, of course, in the United States, under here old Andrew Jackson, slavery is very much still a thing. And these white Texan secessionists, they're big fans of slavery. So we will be trying to crush the Texas Rebellion at the start of the game here. Oh yeah, Andrew Jackson, yes, absolutely, yeah. But let's, like, so again, I said this is a game about economics more than it is about, for example, war, or even about sort of diplomacy and international politics. Again, compared to some of the other Paradox games. But we can start by looking at our government. It's probably a good idea. This is still very important. So we've got a what is our like government here at the start? Right, it's a military dictatorship, or I guess a junta. So a kind of council, kind of oligarchic military oligarchy, I guess. So we've got a general who is leading the country. We have and we can look at our laws. These are kind of things that, like, are the way you would think of this, like what determines what the state is. So we're considered a presidential republic that is an oligarchy, which means we're not a republic in the sense of, having any kind of votes or, democracy. Just a republic in the sense, basically, that we are not a monarchy or a theocracy, that the power is derived, legitimacy is not derived from, inheritance or from a religious institution, basically. It's kind of all gets grouped under republic. Oligarchy is our distribution of power. This is where voting actually is. What kind of policy-making institutions do we have? In this case, we have an oligarchy. So we have a group, this kind of council of generals, and we'll see in a moment why that's general specifically, or in a bit, actually. So some of the other laws here about citizenship. This is your racism laws. We are actually, again, Mexico is basically the least racist you can be for a country in this game at the start. So multiculturalism is absolutely no discrimination on the basis of culture at all. It is not considered to have been invented at this point, which is a very funny way to phrase things. But is not, you know, it's not necessarily out of place to think of it that way. Um, so we can talk about discrimination mechanics later. They're not very in depth. This is something they've specifically talked about recently as one of their sort of imminent, maybe not imminent, but like in the most recent roadmap that the developers shared. Um, they specifically did talk about discrimination and the system of discrimination mechanics and wanting to redo that in a way that is more detailed and more realistic, basically. Um, Religion works similarly, but we do have a state religion that officially Catholic, of course. We don't need to go through all these, but we have a professional army. That's important. We have an agrarian. So economic laws are kind of a weird mixture of like these top two in particular, or this top one, I guess, really in particular, is like a weird thing in that this is not really describing. It is describing a set of laws for sure, like government policies and pronouncements, but in a way that is so abstract that it's kind of hard for people to imagine it sometimes, or kind of what does this represent. But we're agrarianism, which is fine for right now. We'll work on that. We got some taxes, we've got some colonization. Yeah, the general economic framework provided by the country's laws. And this is, so just to briefly talk about this, one of the things, one of the tensions in this game that some people have is like, to what extent does this game, the sort of descriptors of these states and especially the actions of players represent actions of the government versus more nebulous sort of like people in the country are doing this and you as the player kind of get to make decisions for things that are not necessarily strictly part of the government. And the developers kind of have played this up, or at least have at times said things that played this up, which the community then seized on and really promoted in terms of, there's a famous comment where one of the developers said, you're not really the government, you're the spirit of the nation, quote unquote. And this was kind of their way of kind of stepping outside of the concerns about like, is this the government doing this or is this private actors? And I completely understand why they said that. Although it's kind of taken on a life of its own. As I said, the community has kind of really taken that up and kind of almost memes on it. I also think that's unnecessary to actually say that, because I think people really are, how should I say this? People do not grasp the degree to which governments dictate the structure of the society that they govern. And obviously there is a push and pull there. But, for example, we'll get to one of the basic things we're going to be doing a lot of in this game, because this is a game about economics, is we're going to be building stuff. We're going to be building industries, going to be building mines, going to be building farms, building factories, all this stuff. And these are not owned by the government. They're owned by private individuals who profit from them. And one of the things a lot of people are like, well, why is the government choosing, if you're the government, why are you choosing what to build in many of these, and because they added private investment. That's a thing that does exist in the game now, which is all the money from these owners get pooled up and they build new things as well. But you're still as the player, one of the things you're doing are building a lot of private industries. And so this is where like the spirit of the nation thing gets brought up, is like, well, you're kind of getting in and directing people, and maybe that's not really, you're not necessarily the state in that capacity. And again, I think this is completely unnecessary. I think people overestimate vastly the power, the quote unquote free market. A government absolutely has immense ability to dictate what gets built where, through an entire array of the various mechanisms of state apparatuses, right? Of approvals, of subsidies, of minor taxes, regulatory apparatuses, just all kinds of shit that people can do to get in the way of things or to make clear the way for things. This is a lot of what, like, private capitalists are doing, are basically schmoozing government officials, right, to get their way over other capitalists. And so you can kind of imagine that at any given time there are large numbers of people who are looking to build basically anything, people looking to build farms, looking to build mines, looking to build all this stuff. But the government gets to choose who's actually going to do that. What is actually going to get approved? What's actually going to work out? And like, would it be nice to have some more detailed representation of that? Sure, but on an abstract level, I absolutely don't think that it's necessary to stray from the idea that like the government is doing that. And actually, like, because a lot of the suggestion of this is that um, like the less power you should have to intervene with that would be under like traditionalism, which is the most like least centralized government, the least powerful government. That is the stuff where like actually you should have very little control, and then steadily as you're kind of develop your government, you have more and more control over those things. Even within fully capitalist economies, that is like the nature of the capitalist state. It is uh, the organizing committee of the ruling class of capitalists making decisions collectively. So anyway, so yeah, we have a bunch of laws. It's yeah, important thing is, one of the important things again, we have no slavery. And we also don't have serfdom, which is good. So serfdom is distinguished from slavery in this game. Just applies to subsistence farms, which we'll get to. We do also have colonialism. That's somewhat important. We will be colonizing these decentralized nations, so moving settlers into this land, which will make the people who live there, again, there are people here, the Navajo, the Apache, you'll make them angry. But when Carl says, also is the, okay, anyway, I think it is. It's just overlaid on top of the. I see the chat is overlaid on top of this thing, which is not helpful. Can I? Oh, I can't do that. There we go. No, you're fine. There's an EU format that tries to do economic simulation. They have like different estates. Yeah, Mayo and Texas, I assume is what you're referring to. Which is a really fascinating mod that is also like, so far, like, it's not even, it's I was gonna say it's like straining the limits of what EU4 can do, but it's way beyond that. It's a very impressive project, I think, but it is also like so the game that it is made in cannot handle what it is trying to do, which I believe that it is people from Mayo and Texas that split off to try to make Gray Eminence, which is an actual like standalone game in development. That I think is really cool looking. I know it's on hiatus because they couldn't get publisher money basically, which is yeah, not that surprising unfortunately. But I mean, this is because I have a lot of thoughts about about modeling this era of like the Victorian era as well as I mean earlier eras, but especially the Victorian era. This early like this development of industrial capitalism. Um, and I looked at modding stuff for Victoria and kind of came to the conclusion of like anything would end up basically similar to the same situation that my own Texas is in, where it's like you are straining against what the game can do, and if you want to do anything, you really should just like do it separately in a standalone thing, because also that's going to be, you know, ultimately more you're going to get more out of that as well. Uh, but anyway, so Mexico here. We've looked at politics. Like I said, really buildings are very important. So let's actually look at like, where's the capital? It's down here, Mexico. The state of Mexico in the country of Mexico, or in the state of Mexico if you prefer. But this is Mexico City, of course, and its environs. So, yeah, for people who are not familiar with this game, yeah, the country's named after the city, and the city is, of course, named after the people. You know, the map is divided up into these states. The states have people in them, population, who have various traits like culture, religion, but most importantly, they have professions. They work jobs, and what jobs are available. So the sort of base thing is there's an amount of land in each state, and that land determines basically lets people farm it on subsistence farms. And subsistence farms for every level are going to, under your kind of basic method, they're going to need some people doing. How do I actually see this here? Yeah, basically peasants who are, you know, working these subsistence farms. There's some amount of clergy generally, and there's some amount of aristocrats who are generally owning that land in, or at least taking, you know, as taking rents through various renting schemes, or they're collecting taxes through, because they're government officials, you know, that are entitled to a portion of the rent. Whatever the system is, it assumes that there's a kind of landed elite that through various apparatuses collects the income, surplus income from generated by these peasants, at least under our current economic system, our current land ownership system. So these are job slots. People work these jobs and they produce an output in this case, and they also may have to produce take an input. But subsistence farms, you know, the nature of subsistence farms is, of course, they don't have inputs. That's the whole thing. In case of subsistence farms, they also output a variety of basic goods. So they produce some fabric, some wood, some grain, and some generic services, which is kind of just a catch-all, you know, service, jobs, service, whatever, in the sort of economic sector sense. And these go onto the national market. You can see here. You can see like the grain here. So peasants are, or the subsistence farms are selling a bunch of grain, and then people are buying the grain. Who's buying the grain? Mainly, of course, pops. So those people, not the people on the farms, probably. Well, I guess they do buy some food, but of course, for the most part, they're eating the food that they produce and selling the excess. But other people in other jobs are going to be buying food. They're going to be buying wood. They're going to be buying fabric for clothes, stuff like that. And this whole thing goes around. This price is getting determined. And the government sits on top of that, basically sifting money off of that through taxes, right? We have a pretty regressive tax. We're taxing peasants very heavily. Mexico here, but we'll try to change that over time. But the way to get more taxes then is basically we have to have more money flowing through the country. We have to have more, build up our economy in order to be able to take more off of people. Lord McCall asks, places below 100% market access, do people sell all the products? Don't sell all the products they produce. I'm just gonna see them free at that percentage. The way that market access interacts with prices is odd. Basically, if you are buying, basically sellers, well, buyers and sellers always pay. My understanding of this is it's complicated, so I may be mixing this up. My understanding is buyers and sellers of goods always pay the local price of the good for where they are. So a seller, the farmers in Mexico are selling their grain at the local price of grain, 25. Somebody over here who is buying grain will be buying grain at the local price of 21. If there are mismatches such that, basically there are, more buyers than sellers in different provinces, and theoretically you'd be like, well, they're going out and buying it then not locally but from some other place, right? They are. And so what is the if you add up all the buy orders and multiply them by their local prices, and add up all the sell orders and multiply them by their local prices, and subtract the two, they are not zero. You will come up with a number of money that is like, where did that money go? Because all the buy orders and sell orders by their prices should equal zero, right? So there is money, and that money, the answer to where that money goes, it just vanishes. It's because that's not what, these are not actual transactions happening. That's not the way the simulation works. So there is, or money is produced, possibly, I guess. It's possible that it could go the other way, I think. I'd have to think about whether that's actually feasible within the simulation. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But definitely money tends to sort of vanish because it's not a closed economic system. Money is both created and destroyed within this game, which is true of real life as well, obviously, but not in that, not in the fashion there that it's happening here. But it's fine. It's just kind of odd. But yeah, so a big part of this is our early game for most countries, actually a lot of the game for some certain countries, is, so we have peasants who are working on these subsistence farms. Subsistence farms, as you might gather by their name, are not big economic, not I'm stumbling on my words here. They're not big sources of economic productivity. They do not bring a lot of goods to market because they mostly are just producing goods for themselves. And there's no taxes on goods that are produced for themselves. Um, and they don't really, and they're not very efficient. You know, they're not good at producing the things that they produce. So we could really use these people. You know, everybody'd better off if these people were working elsewhere, and we had dedicated farmers producing food, and then dedicated loggers producing wood, and dedicated cotton farms producing fabric, and so on and so forth. Theoretically, assuming, you know, we don't treat those workers horribly, um, which is the great the sort of contradiction of capitalism, of industrial development, is that the organization, the centralization of production, concentration of production into these you know, increasingly more efficient endeavors, theoretically, right, should free up labor to and reduce the labor needs of everyone, because you're producing the same amount with less work, less people. And of course, historically, the exact opposite has happened. Is more and more and more work was extracted from people. This is something that I mean, this is like the classic contradiction, right? The thing that, for example, Marx talks at length about in Capital, is like, why does this happen? What is going on? Because there are a lot of early economic writers who were like, look, this is going to free us. And then saying, well, that obviously hasn't happened. That's obviously not about to happen. So why didn't it? And what's the problem? But anyway, regardless, we're going to try to build it up. In order to do that, we need construction. We have a little bit of construction to build things, not very much. But let's look at our market. Also, what is... Sorry, I'm gonna look over here for a second. So we have... Okay. Look at this for a second. Okay, well, we're gonna grab that. So one of the recent changes in this game is local prices are much more important. We mentioned local prices. Local prices basically means the amount of you know, being produced in this specific state or region, and then the amount being bought, consumed. That determines your sort of base local price, and then there's the national price, which is over the whole market. How many are being produced and sold. This is a supply and demand factor that is applied to a base price that each good has. This is a little bit of a weirdness with the game also, is that every good that can be produced in the game has a just fixed base price, and if buy orders and sell orders are equal, that is the price that it sells at. And by the supply and demand factor, it just modifies up and down from that base price. This isn't actually this is not a terrible way to represent things. Other than that, base price does not change over the course of the game for goods. This is the main problem that I have with it, where because basically when you're talking about then base price, what we would be representing is basically the value in economic terms. If we distinguish between price and value, the value of the good, and if we follow Marx, and you know, this is a game that is based on the Victorian era and has some Marxian economics built into it, or assumptions kind of in the background of it. Also, of course, I happen to be a Marxist, so I'm going to do that. But if we follow labor theory of value, then basically what that base price represents is the amount of socially necessary labor, the average amount of labor needed to produce that good under the current conditions of the society it's happening in. And what that means is that changes over time based on technology and social organization. But in the game, this never changes. So grain, the base price of grain does not go down, even though the overall production of grain becomes massively more efficient. And that kind of works out in terms of the dynamics that the game has. It does end up, sort of working out that grain is often cheaper or people are buying more stuff. It just doesn't work out in ways that are as recognizable to us because it has to do more with wage levels and the suppression of prices, like outputs massively exceeding demand and stuff like that. That is kind of odd, but ends up working out ish with some oddities. But yeah, so this is the national price, again, over the course of the whole thing. There is the sort of base local price, which we can't actually see here. But basically every province then has a, what is this actually called, this modifier? Market access price impact? That's what it's called. Market access price impact. I got it. Which basically means how much does the base local price compared to the national market price factor into the actual local price within a state? The actual local price is somewhere between the base local price and the national market price, and the amount that the national market price, where that point falls is based on the market access and the market access price impact, or MAPI. I don't know if that's how people are pronouncing that, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Anyway, all of that is to say, your local production and consumption matters a lot more than it did at game launch, but we can also make it matter less over time as the kind of economy integrates, not globalizes, but like nationalizes, I guess. Not nationalizes in the sense of government taking over, but excuse me, in the sense of integrating across the whole country. So we are not too bad at that in Mexico, though. We start off pretty good because we don't have traditionalism, which imposes a pretty big penalty to the MAPI. So let's look at our market, because this is basically the yeah, we have no serfdom also. That is also one of the things that impacts it. And we're gonna, the reason that I set it to research stock exchange, by the way, so this is tech. There's 3 tech trees. We can research 1 tech at a time. They unlock stuff. This is one of the most like traditional mechanics in this game. I honestly don't like the research system very much. I think they could have gotten way more non-traditional with it. The Victoria 2 tech system is actually way further afield than this is, and is interesting, although I don't know that it ends up being like good. But yeah, I kind of wish they had done something more radical with the tech system. But yeah, this tech stock exchange here is the main tech that reduces or increases MAPI rather. And this is the big one until like very late. So once we have this and we are out of, we don't have traditionalism, we don't have serfdom, we hit, I think, 85% MAPI. And that is like basically where you sit for the vast majority of the game up until towards the end. And you get very late game text that increase it again. So we're going to do that, and then basically hopefully not have to worry about Mappy as much, or at all, basically. So let's look at our goods. Because people have needs, people need things, but the main thing is we want to build things to grow our economy. In order to build things, we have to have construction. In order to have construction, one, we need to be able to pay for it with our taxes that we're getting from growing our economy. Two, we need to have the things that that construction needs. Construction takes input of currently wood and fabric, a lot of wood, but we pretty quickly want to be able to move to iron frame buildings, which will make our construction use tools and iron, but a lot less wood. So we do have a little bit of tools. We have iron, but that's not currently producing anything, I think, because we're not using any of it. I'm guessing. We are, yeah, we're trading some of our iron, but we're not using it otherwise. We've got some wood. We have, is our fabric only coming from our livestock? Oh, and subsistence farms, right? Okay. Yeah, we don't actually have any, like, cotton plantations. What do you think about trade routes costing bureaucracy? I think, so it's supposed to represent, right, like, sort of government negotiated large-scale trade. And as far as that goes, that is fine. Obviously, there is a lot. I think the trade system in this game is one of the weaker parts of it. And I get why we don't have open trade, because it's like the thing that is always that is kind of hanging over the head of this game, right, is computational complexity. The game is incredibly computationally complex already. Significantly more so than most Paradox games. And everything they do has to be kind of weighed against what is the impact on computations. So like open trade would be cool, and they've said basically they would like to implement some form of it. But I don't think we're ever going to get something that is truly representative of a kind of global market, because it would be, I mean, it's the same reason that, like, this market is, there are not real transactions here. There's not, you know, where things are being bought and where things are being sold is not really being, you know, like you can't say, oh, the grain in Mexico City is going to, you know, which state or whatever. Like, that's just not a thing that the game has a representation of, because it can't. It would be nuts to try to do that stuff. And so the way the trade works, where it's like, well, okay, the government goes and sets up a trade route, and then there's some large-scale trade moving between two markets, and that costs bureaucracy to maintain. You know, it's fine. The one thing I do think that I really don't like there is a lot of sort of the countries, these sort of, like, you know, newly centralized or very loosely centralized countries, something like some of the African countries, where they all start with not only traditionalism but isolationism and the inability to make trade, and like, similar to also them having closed borders, like, these are both, like, isolationism and closed borders are things that would take a massive state bureaucracy to enforce. Like, there is just no way that these, like, it is a representation of these countries as being like, oh, they're very backwards and therefore they're very closed off, and like, that's just not true when these countries, if these countries are one step up from the decentralized nations, right, which is the idea of them, and you can freely settle people into decentralized nations, the idea of like the closed borders or no trade is absurd, um, and really kind of nonsensical. Like, I think basically what isolation is, or like they're not isolation. I think there should basically be a default trade policy for these countries, similar to traditionalism, that everyone wants to get out of, and it's basically no trade authority, and you can't make new trade routes. The government can't initiate new trade routes, but other people can trade with you, and you have no ability to do anything with it. So it's like a combination of isolationism and free trade that is the worst of both of them. Um, is kind of how I would imagine it. Um, it's similar to, closed borders. Like, basically, you should not be able to stop people from migrating, but you shouldn't be able to do anything about, like, affect the migration in one way or the other, basically. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, I guess. Yeah, completely passive trade policy, exactly. So yeah, really as the sort of, it is a weird thing, but like the engine of this game, as a lot of people have understood, is expanding your construction in order to build more things, in order to expand your construction, because everything that you build is going to create more tax revenue and fund more expansion. I think we might be able to just go to iron frame buildings because we have some iron mines that aren't producing anything, and we have some tools. So let's try that. What else in here? Do we have paper? That's a lot of paper. That's necessary. We probably do want to do that relatively soon, but... That's a weird thing about construction is, so construction sectors are always government owned. They are always government, like the wages of the employees are all paid by the government, always. They only consume goods while they're constructing, and if it's government construction, the government's paying for the goods. If it's private construction, the private sector is paying for the goods. The wages are getting paid regardless, and by the government and at all times. But construction produces construction points. Yeah, here we go. Construction. And this does not have a local function. Well, mostly. This basically works anywhere in your country, regardless of where the construction sectors are. There is a slight bonus to, I think it did say in here. Yeah, there's a slight bonus to construction efficiency, which is basically the amount of construction needed to build buildings in the states where you have construction. So there is definitely an incentive to build construction in the places you're going to be building things. But it's still a little odd. You can just marshal your entire construction sectors to build like in places that have no construction infrastructure, have no construction sectors. This is something again that we talked about modding a little bit earlier. I wish that you could mod how this works, because I would like to see construction be a local good, similar to some of the other local goods they've made. So you only construct with the local construction points, and then of course the question would be, well, how do you build in a place that has no construction? And the answer to that, I would say, is for subsistence farms to output a small amount of construction. They give you a kind of starting point, and then remove base construction also. Yeah, Lord McCall says, in these days, construction would be among the most decentralized and disorganized parts of the economy, in my estimation. Um, yeah, I believe that that is basically true. Armies having construction functions. You know, I don't know how much that would be the case in this era. There is stuff like, you know, corvées, but again, I don't know how much corvées are a thing in this period. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I would be interested to know. We still have not done anything in this fucking game. But yeah, we've moved over to Ironform Construction immediately because we have what we need for it. So we're gonna see how that goes. We are also going to, of course, build things. So let's look at our market after we've switched our construction. We don't really care about, so like these things at the top are luxury furniture, porcelain, luxury clothes. These are all luxury goods that are used by, yeah, it says down here, consumed by pops of wealth level 15 to 99 for luxury item needs. We don't really care about supplying the pops luxury needs. Initially, what we care about is building up our industrial economy. Paper is used, used in some other things, used by the government and universities, but again, we're not too concerned about it. Grain, of course, is eaten by everyone. That's important, but God, actually, can we? I guess we don't need to do that, do we? I was gonna say, can we actually implement corn laws right at the start of the game? But I don't think we have a need to. Let us move to interventionism. That might be good. We can see. This is a strategy, which I will not try to explain at the moment, but where the heck? I thought that was... Oh, it's here. They removed it from this right click? That's annoying. We will try and do that anyway. We may need more tools. We'll see. May need more fabric. How's our wood, actually? Wood is right there. Okay. Let's just start by building more construction, which we are paying for as the government. This is always going to reduce our income, but we'll see. And let's look at our peasants. Not a lot of unemployed. Okay. Let's start something like that, and we'll see how that goes. Oh god, do we have Oh, we have mountains in Mexico City. That's annoying. I forgot. Maybe we'll build somewhere else. They're still there. You don't have any. Okay. Maybe we'll build it there. Okay. We're gonna build stuff. Gonna not worry about this stuff. We do need to, of course, again, go fight Texas. So let's mobilize this additional army we have. Send them to the front. We already have an army on the front, which is led by, of course, Santa Anna. Hopefully we should be fine here. I mean, they have less troops than us, you know. You can see our little army moving up the coast. Oh yeah, we should probably use our influence and our authority. So we've got some capacities up here. Bureaucracy is used by our government for taxation, sort of passively. We need enough bureaucracy to cover all of our sort of internal government functions. Authority is a weird measure of basically the more traditional and authoritarian, quote unquote, your government is, the more authority you have, and authority is used for sort of switchable policies, so we can apply things to states with authority, like these decrees. We can also, like, do things to our... I didn't talk about interest groups at all, which is like the actual foundation of the political system. We can do some stuff in here, so we can promote interest groups. Very broadly and quickly, the Pops associate themselves with an interest group if they are politically conscious, which by default they aren't. They will become politically conscious through wealth, education, stuff like that. They associate themselves with an interest group. Interest groups, sort of clout or power is based on mostly wealth affected by the laws of the country. If you're a democracy that actually has voting, that comes into play as well. These interest groups all have stances on our laws, and so this is how we... changing laws is kind of based on which interest groups will actually support certain laws. At the start of the game, almost every country, the most powerful interest group is going to be the landowners, who represent traditional aristocratic land-based wealth. They are ultra-conservative. They hate change, any kind of change. They would love to live in a feudal backwater hellhole. They're the worst people in the world. So you always want to get rid of them at the start of the game, basically. We'll be working on that. But, yeah, you can use authority and interact with them a little bit. We can use our influence as another capacity, which we used for diplomacy. And then this is convoys, which is used for trade, overseas trade, and then of course our income, our money. We need to improve relations with the United States very badly. So Mexico is a pretty chill country to play, other than that we live in constant fear of the United States. The United States will eventually get, like, by event, effectively, get claims or justification to conquer all of basically the parts of this that are currently part of the United States in the modern day. And if we cannot prevent the United States from going to war for that, we're going to be in trouble, because we're not really in a position to fight the United States. To that end, let us make friends in Europe who may potentially help us against the United States. Does the United States have any rivals off at the start of the game? They do not. Alright. So, ideally we find someone who hates the United States and is big, and we make friends with them. But we'll worry about that a little bit in the future. Okay. We're fighting a battle here. We're winning a battle-ish. Fighting against Sam Houston. Look at his incredible helmet. Somehow doubt he was wearing that historically, but okay. Owing Mexican independence from Spain, a power vacuum was left. Placed the colonial government, which was filled by charismatic armed forces leaders. These caudillos come to define much of South American politics. We're not in South America game, but okay. So the age of caudillos, if completed, armed forces lose. No, let me. Oh my God, tooltips. I love, like, the tools of this game are great in terms of how they are nested, and you can hover over stuff within them to see more tooltips. But there's a real problem with like going from one to another sometimes. So what is this ideology? This is an ideology that's been applied to that armed forces interest group, which basically leads it to endorse different laws. I think mainly here they are endorsing autocracy. Also, we have a modifier on our country that increases the power of the armed forces as an interest group, and also the political strength of officers, POPs, which of course are going to mostly be supporting the armed forces in our country. Yeah, let's try not to fail this. That would be bad. Just this little bar going up. I don't know what the progress bar, like, doesn't say what makes the progress bar go up or down here. Oh, we have to go in here, does this say? Positive? Okay, here we go. Positive or negative. Okay, armed forces are powerful, they are in government. Although that's kind of redundant, because if you take them out of government, the progress it instantly completes. If we have an autocracy, which we do, we have a general who is loved, we probably do. We have a ruler who is authoritarian. Negative, ways to decrease it. Marginalized. Census or universal suffrage. A politician who is loved and belongs to a powerful interest group that does not approve of autocracy, oligarchy, technocracy, and single-party state. Okay, that's specific. That's very hard to... like, basically, the only easy way to complete this, I feel like, is just to shove the armed forces out of government. Which we could technically do, I think. It would just make people unhappy. I don't really... We could just put them immediately right back in. This is kind of gamey, but... that might be the thing to do. We'll wait for a little bit, though. At least until after our war. Oh, is this, yes. We have triggered corn laws. Right. Yeah, we can pay for the temporary minimum wage. So corn laws is a journal entry where we are basically taxing the import of grain, but we all have very expensive grain already, so grain imports would be, useful to making grain cheaper for all the poor people. Poor people are upset about it. There's a reason that we have triggered this, though. Sure, I'm not gonna pin that. I'll pin path deliverables. Since we do want to liberalize our country, at least from where it stands at the moment. I did not go in and do my decrees, which I should do. World folk are currently led by a radical general. That's interesting. Okay, we have completely occupied Texas. We will now just wait for the official surrender of Texas. I don't know where their army's going. I feel like their army should not be able to retreat here, but I guess that's fine. We're waiting on this construction sector to build, waiting on Texas. We can also look at our laws to see if there's anything we want to try to pass. Better taxation. The main thing, again, the problem is we have landowners in power, and landowners are going to hate everything we want to do. Other than, I guess, maybe we could implement a police force. That would be okay. Not a local police force that empowers landowners, but a federal police force or national police force. That would be okay. Yeah, let's not implement the National Guard. Technically, we could implement a voting system, but honestly, land voting is, I think, worse than oligarchy as far as how it works out for your country. So let's keep that out of the way. What is our succession? Yeah, dictatorial. Rulers reign for life. Okay. Which we do not have industrialists or trade union workers in our country yet, because we don't really have any industry. Oh, our construction sector finished, and we're still doing good. We should probably build another construction sector and then build more inputs for everything. Let's build in Mexico. And let's then look at, so what does one construction sector need? Tools, fabric, wood, iron. Yeah. So what does our iron mines produce? Only 20 per level. So we do not even have the atmospheric engine pump. Woof. Okay, we're definitely going to need more of these. But we can... something like that. We can, of course, build more. Are we actually using hardwood for anything? Not really. Just do that. We can try to reduce our price of our grain slightly. We will need more tools. How's our fabric? Yeah, we'll need fabric as well. More fabric, more wood. Can we build cotton? I assume we can. Ah, we had to build it up north. Interesting. A lot of people up here. Yet, anyway. Oh yeah, is everything set to colonize? Where is, yeah, colonies. Okay. We're waiting for this, minus 75 to tick down to minus 100, and then they will surrender. They can't do anything in the meantime. They kind of should just surrender, but... Why did that? There we go. Oh, I guess I can. Wait, no, that's mine. God damn it. Okay, there we go. Oh, there it is. Alright, now that we have, let's see, where are we building? Okay, we're building in Mexico. So you can see our yellow bar under our money here is filling up. That's our reserves. We can actually, we have a max amount of money we can just store. We really do not want to max that out. Ideally, we stay much closer to 0 reserves, you know. We just make enough to stay in the green, but or even go under, you know, we can do deficit spending. Okay, we have an iron shortage, I guess, from, yeah, I guess the construction sectors hadn't fully gotten up there, so let's do something like that. Delay that construction sector, because it's just gonna make that iron shortage worse. Where's the thing fucking getting built? Oh, it's getting built here. No, it's, wait. Oh, this is getting built here. What's the other one? That's, okay, that is in here. God, that's really confusing, but okay. So, shortages, basically the supply and demand factors in this game are only allowed to go to plus or minus 75%. This is another kind of controversial decision. Hi, Mary. Mary's in 10 days. But if you sit at plus 75%, you will start to get a shortage modifier. Basically means the things using this, the thing that has a shortage of, will become more and more inefficient. Because basically, again, things are not actually bought and sold in this game. There is a number of things being sold, there's a number of things being bought that determines the price, but if, for example, we look at tools, there are, you know, only 42 units of tools being sold, there's 65 units of tools being bought. This does not mean that there are 23, you know, units of tools that are not being, that are missing, you know, by whatever industries are using the tools. Abstractly, what this means is that, like, people are making do with worse tools, or they're buying shittier tools, like maybe worse tools are being produced and are getting bought that are effectively, you know, something is happening such that, you know, production is still managing to continue, it's just more expensive than it might otherwise be. But once you hit the 75%, it is treated as actually there is an actual like lack of goods available, and so things that use those goods will start to reduce their output at that point. Because things can, like our iron mines probably, um, are using tools. They're still producing the full amount of iron, even though there is a a lack of tools. Um, it's just they're having to pay more for those tools. Um, but the things that are using the iron, which would be probably just our construction, yeah, we are actually getting less construction currently because we don't have enough iron. Um, because we have an iron shortage properly. So you want to avoid shortages. Obviously, you would like to keep these prices down generally, um, but shortages are the actual problem. Also important to note, shortages, as far as I know, do not apply to pop consumption. So we have pops trying to buy luxury furniture. There is no luxury furniture in our country. It costs them a whole bunch of money because they're trying to get some kind of facsimile of luxury furniture. I guess maybe they're hiring bespoke, individuals to make them fancy furniture or something. I don't know, but it doesn't. The pops don't. I mean, they don't have a production output, right, to go down. The only thing that could go down is their wealth levels, which are already going down from the money they're spending. So. So pop, if they're goods that are exclusively used by pops, shortages are not really meaningful in the same way as when they're being used by buildings or armies or fleets. Oh, well, we're slowly improving our relations with the United States. Of course, they hate us. We're improving our relations with France and Britain in the hopes we can make friends with them. We have a small movement of citizens who want a National Guard, which is not the worst idea, but it's also not super popular. So I'm not worried about that right at the moment. It'd be kind of cool if you got like upper class discontentment from no luxury furniture or something like that. Yeah, I mean, effectively you can in terms of if their wealth is, right, the way that pop wealth works is pops make money from their jobs. Or quote-unquote jobs if they're aristocrats, right? Their income. What do you call that? My brain is blanking on what that's called. But income without a job. And they have a standard of living that is set, and their standard of living determines. Hello, Cyan. Standard of living determines what they are trying to buy as part of their needs. So if we looked at this again, oops, oh God, this stupid thing. There it goes. So yeah, if they're level 15 or above, they will try to buy luxury items, which could be luxury clothes, luxury furniture, porcelain, or radios. So a pop starts at a certain level, right? Like, say a pop starts at standard living 10. If they make their money, they try to buy. Oh, we are stockpiling gold. Well, we can reduce taxes until we're not stockpiling gold, or until our construction gets up more. But if they are able to buy all their needs due to the relationship between their wages / income and the the prices of the goods they need to buy for their need packages. If there's a surplus of money left over after that, it adds to their wealth. And if their wealth gets to a certain level, their standard of living increases. So they'll go from standard of living 10 to standard of living 11. When they do this, one, a certain portion of the pops becomes loyalist. This is this number up here. These are the people who are happy with your government. And also, their needs go up. They have to buy more because they have, like, that's what it means if their standard of living gone up, is they are buying more stuff. Of course, and then the reverse, yeah, as you mentioned, the reverse happens, which is if they are not able to buy all the things for their needs, if there is a negative number when you take the cost of all of their needs minus their wages slash ownership income, their dividends, you get a negative number that reduces their wealth. If their wealth goes below a certain number, they go down a standard of living. And when their standard of living goes down, then a certain portion of them, one, their needs get reduced, so they shouldn't be losing as much money. Their wealth should stabilize at a certain point. But when their standard of living goes down, a certain portion of the pop becomes radicals. And radicals are, of course, the people that are unhappy with your government and are willing to join movements, are willing to join potentially revolutions or civil wars. And so the discontentment of rich people who are unable to buy stuff like luxury furniture is theoretically represented by they are trying to buy it because their standard of living demands it, but it costs so much money because there aren't any, that their standard of living actually goes down, and a portion of them become radical for that. Shouldn't standard of living be based on like the amount and type of goods they have and not their wealth? It's not. No. It is all completely abstracted into how much does it cost. So standard of living determines buy packages, which is I need to buy this much luxury items, for example, every week. The game does some calculations because like luxury items could be luxury clothes, luxury furniture, porcelain, radios, so it does some calculations based on some pretty arcane calculations to figure out sort of how much of each of these should be applied to that need, and then it multiplies those by the cost, whatever, determines all the total amount of cost that it would take to fulfill all their needs, compares that to their income, which is again wages plus dividends. Oh, that's bad. And then applies that to this wealth figure, which is really just sort of a meter filling up or going down, which ultimately results in changes in standard of living. We can probably see this if I look at an individual pop. I don't want to look at those. Let me look at an aristocrat. Economy? Yeah, here we go. So you can see their weekly income, their weekly expenses. So they have a net positive amount. They have a progress towards next wealth level. So that should start ticking up because they have a positive income. And once that ticks up, then their expenses will go up, basically. And some of them will become loyalists. That's how that works. I mean, so their wealth is determined basically by, you know, all the shit they're buying, because the more stuff they have to buy, the more that their income has to, you know, accommodate for that, right? Or they go back down in standard living. Now, a movement to enact homesteading is much more interesting than the National Guard movement. I'm also a little surprised this isn't going up at all. Rule by decree, what the fuck? Oh, I see. I didn't realize it's like 1,000. Why is it 1,000? 200. That's weird. What does this do? Oh, it reduces the cost of decrees. Oh, that's incredibly boring. I don't need that. A modern conservative. This is what we're looking for. This is why we passed corn or implemented corn laws. Um, we also have some other event about wine. I don't care. To look at. So from that event, we have gotten an agitator, sort of political, influential political figure. Hate his outfit. Um, he is a member of the landowners, but his ideology is market liberal, which means he supports interventionism and laissez-faire economy. He supports free trade. Um, so what we're gonna do, we are going to immediately make this guy the leader of the landowners, which we can do because the landowners are in power. There we go. I see. The agitators have the ridiculous costume, and but once he's a leader, an actual interest group leader, he doesn't. So now that he is leading the landowners in our government, he applies his ideology to the whole interest group and overrides their base tendencies. And this means landowners would now support moving to interventionism from agrarianism. They would also support laissez-faire, but I don't think we want to go to laissez-faire in our current circumstances. They would also not object to going to homesteading, which is honestly a bigger deal. Might try to go to homesteading first. Because that's more important than going for... If we had traditionalism still, I would absolutely go to interventionism first. But agrarianism interventionism is not as big of a deal. But yeah, let's try to enact homesteading. And hopefully we can do this, and this guy will not have died or retired yet, and we'll be able to go to interventionism as well. And maybe even protectionism under our market policy, because he's also doesn't oppose that. That would be great. So let's try that. But we'll see. How is our production going, by the way, our building? Doing fine. Just building stuff. How's our... Endorses child labor. Yeah, we are in the era of, I mean, the massive expansion of child labor, actually. This is something, again, the game doesn't... The game is fairly... there are certain arcs of history that the game does represent well. One of the things I think is the way that the landowners are sort of these very conservative force who, as you industrialize the country, one of the forces you tend to start leaning on as they grow and powerful is the industrialists. And then ultimately the industrialists you're probably going to want to push aside, at least if you want a country that treats its people well, and they are going to become a reactionary obstacle, even though they were earlier a progressive force. And that's really a neat arc in the game, I think. But one of the things it doesn't represent this too well is the sort of starting situation of subsistence agricultural labor or basic like workshop craftsman artisan production, and the movement of that into factories, the way that massively expands child labor. This is, again, a thing actually that a lot of capital um, Capital as in like Marx's Capital, the big book, is actually dedicated to is like obviously yes, subsistence farms use child labor, of course it is a core part of it, um, but the nature of child labor on a subsistence farm is very different from the nature of child labor in an industrial factory, uh, and specifically also like the thing that drives the growth of child labor is automation, because it is basically going from early factories which still rely on very skilled workers, and a lot of basically the first factories are like bringing together all these people who are doing artisan work and just putting them in one building and pooling resources. But the development of automation, which in a lot of cases is driven by um, like economic pressures, by uh, you know, shortages, various things, um, develops automation, and suddenly you don't need a skilled worker. You just need a person who's there. You know, you just need somebody who's watching the machine, but the machine does what it's doing. And also, you maybe have a lot of when you do have to do work on the machine and you have to do maintenance, a lot of those spaces are very tight because you're trying to squeeze as much machinery into a space as possible. You know, you don't want to build a big expansive space. You don't want to leave a lot of room. And so the combination of these things is you get a lot of child workers. And it is very, very dangerous. And very unhealthy even when it's not dangerous, because they're just shoving all these children into these warehouses, you know, packed with machinery that's putting out, you know, dangerous chemicals and smoke, and it's a fucking nightmare. You know, it truly is a distinct thing, and also they're working them endlessly. Like farm labor has set hours basically based on just the environment, right? Like you can't work through the night because the nature, partly because of the sun, and partly because the kind of work they're doing just doesn't involve that. Whereas with factory machines, you can just keep going endlessly. You know, the most optimal thing to do is to have the machines running 24 hours a day and have people there. And this is so there is like an actual, like in this game we start on child labor allowed basically everywhere. I don't know if there's anywhere that starts with restricted child labor, but like, and this isn't, in terms of laws, this isn't necessarily incorrect, but it doesn't really reflect like the real change in like what does child labor mean, when it goes from children working on farms to children working in factories or yeah, mines. Like there is a pretty big distinction there, and this is what drives social movements in this period that are extremely critical of these factories, because they're like, you know, Jesus Christ, you're killing children, like. So like the initial like wave of laws in Britain, for example, that are restricting work hours, are all, they're not for adult male workers. They are for child workers and for women workers, which is a similar thing where like a lot of women were brought in to work and were, you know, considered like they're not as capable, but because the work didn't demand as much, they were brought in as workers. All right, so we have a tool shortage, which we are working on. Also, our homesteading. We're trying to pass homesteading, so we've got this kind of process ongoing. Yeah, great. Which is just, it's humming along, it's being successful, basically because there's not any opposition to it. Because the landowners are actually... you can see, meanwhile, the Sioux up here have gotten fed up with American colonization, American settlement in their lands, and they've organized and started a war. And it has not gone well for them. You'd see the American flag there because they have been, the American military has invaded this territory and taken over, unfortunately. Oh, we have gold mines that aren't fully built? I didn't realize, which is dumb of me. Okay, well, they're building the last one. Yeah, we definitely want to build gold mines as much as possible. Gold does just go, it's just straight income. Oh, I guess we could do this. How's our iron looking? Not great, but... Our iron mines, yeah, they're fully producing. Okay. Once we get atmospheric engine, that'll help a lot. We're just working on stock exchange so that I don't have to worry about. It's definitely an argument for going immediately to atmospheric engine. It's very important early tech because it improves your mines. I just really don't want to have to worry about local prices that much. So that's my thought there. Also, you'll note, so up here on our bar is this number is our average standard of living in the country. We started at about 9. We've already got up to 10, so that's good. We've increased. Yeah, McCarl in the chat mentions the Die Works event, which is just a series of puns around people dying in industrial accidents. Yeah, I'm not a fan. It's just there's a lot of that stuff in Paradox games, but it definitely is, you know, I think the closer you get to the present, especially in something like that, which is, you know, a thing that still happens, obviously, it does feel like it's in bad taste at a minimum. So yeah, the war between the Sioux and the U.S. has ended. The U.S., the Sioux have been forced to grant colonization rights, which basically just increases settlement in their territory. Yeah, let's take the prestige. That's just one of the events from our law trying to pass. Got a playwright has written some cool play about how homesteading is great. And I guess, yeah, I didn't really talk about what this actually does, but so this is our land reform, land ownership law, which determines mainly what the subsistence farms look like. It does also affect your actual like plantations, but mainly subsistence farms. And so, right, what was I gonna say? So serfdom, you know, the peasants are literally locked to the farms, of course. Tenant farmers, they're not, but it's still all owned by the aristocrats. Basically, the majority of the farms are, you know, owned by the aristocrats, and the peasants are renting it, right? They're paying rent to landowners. So landowners still get a bonus from this. The order here is always a little odd because homesteading is easier to access than commercialized agriculture because you need a sort of mid-game tech to get commercialized agriculture. Commercialized agriculture puts capitalists in charge of your farms, owners. So it's like turning the land market into an actual speculative market where capitalists are involved. Homesteading represents the farmers actually owning or the peasants owning the subsistence farms. It also replaces the aristocrats with quote-unquote farmer pops, which are farmers are like smallholders, basically. They're kind of, I feel like the game is a little bit confused about what it means by farmers, because sometimes it seems to mean farm workers, farm laborers, and sometimes it means the, oh god, what do they want? We're not doing that, but okay. And also, I think it's a little bit confused in terms of like what is homesteading, because homesteading is, sorry, this event. Oh, that's bad. What? Oh shit! Did we already lose our land? Oh, that sucks. That sucks a lot. All right. But yeah, homesteading, you know, is a reference definitely to the Homestead Act in the United States, which is basically an government act to encourage the settlement of the Western lands claimed by the United States, you know, from indigenous peoples, like in here. Like it's really, it was a law about colonization, really, but in the game, it is used to represent the ownership of farms by, again, kind of smallholders, by not large landowners, but lots of independent small farms, which is a characteristic associated with agriculture in the U.S. in the North. Obviously, the South was lots of big landowners. But the idea of sort of passing homesteading, I mean, it is accurate in terms of the way that it works in the game, where it's like, it makes the landowners super fucking mad. The big landowners, because you are effectively stripping them of their property and handing it out to other people. I think it could probably still stand to be like worse, even though, yeah, it has made them incredibly mad. They're currently planning to start a revolution over this, because unfortunately our market liberal who was supporting this and leading landowners has already retired. We didn't even get this fucking law passed, which is rather annoying. He did not last very long. He was 35 and he retired. What the fuck? That sucks. That's randomness for you. That sucks. Because now the landowners are super mad and planning to start a revolution. I guess one good news is we look at the new guy. He is a Democrat. This means he would support any form of voting. So we might be able to use that. I'm gonna still let this go and see if, basically, if on the next check we make it into voting, we may have enough time to try to go around the horn to another one and see if we can get to voting before the revolution fires. One weird thing about revolutions in this, since they redid the law stuff, if you pass the law, the revolution goes away, which is not the way that it worked on game launch. It shouldn't be the way that it works. I think this movement should clearly stick around, but it doesn't. So we can try and see, but revolutions tend to grow much faster than laws tend to go through sort of policy-making process. So this probably won't work, but we'll try it. get? Oh yeah, they did. Okay. Oh, it in fact got a setback. Okay, which is, yeah, we're probably gonna have to cancel this. God, that's actually, yeah, because one of the things that happened is we got a petition from them, from the landowners, to pass local police, and then because their leader retired, they became super angry about the current law, angry enough they left the government because they refused to support what the government was doing. And then leaving the government triggers the failure of the petition, which again, these happened basically simultaneously, and failing the petition reduces their support by 20, which is massive. You'll see it's actually capped at -20. So that kind of did not help things. That is making them even more mad because they're like, and our petition failed, which is like they launched their petition and then immediately withdrew from government and gave up on their petition. So that seems kind of, unfair. I don't think that's accurate to what happened, but that's how they see it, I guess. So yeah, we will see. We've got a little bit on this revolution, but yeah, given we failed on the last one, yeah, and we have 40% stall chance, I really don't think there's any chance of this passing, unfortunately. Why do we have port in Texas? I guess that's from when we conquered Texas. Okay, so we got this back. Let's actually finish lathe, and then we'll, whoops, and then we'll do atmospheric engine, and then probably mechanical tools. Is there anything over here we really need? Like banking, I don't think we need. Central Archives is nice, but it's going to be more to research. No, we're pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no way. It's just we've got too long to go. So let's, yeah, this is gonna make the people supporting homesteading angry that we've backed away from it. I apologize, guys. We should now be able to move these guys back into power. Okay. And then we should, yeah, we don't know how to do universal suffrage, but we can go to census suffrage, which is pretty solid. Is this opposed by the armed forces? It is opposed by the armed forces. So we may remove the armed forces from power. Yeah, let's do that. Which will also end. Oh, you have to. Oh, these are an and, not an or. I didn't realize. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Great. Oh, the Royal Folk actually. Are they happy? No. Wait, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Oh yeah, the Royal Folk are very happy. Oh, because they're led by a radical, so they're very happy about going to census suffrage, yeah. So they've actually left the movement. Not supporting the movement for homesteading anymore because they're happy enough with what we're trying to do. So that's good, I guess. Although, in that I can't try to pass homesteading, so rather they not keep getting angry about it. Any way to get a new person to fill that role? In terms of interest group leaders, is that what you were asking about, Cyan? Yeah, the ways, so we put the market liberal into power because we got an agitator, and if you have an agitator associated with an interest group, we could actually invite this guy, but he's not useful. Um, you can promote them to be the leader of an interest group in power. So that was what we did. We promoted that market liberal landowner to be the leader of the landowners, but then he retired. The other way you can interact with them is if they are not in government, like this armed forces guy, you can exile them. So you can kick them out, and then a random new person will take over. You can somewhat influence. Oh, that's Santa Ana, right? You can somewhat influence who becomes the next leader in a sort of gamey way. So it can be a random character generated, and there are some conditions for like which ideologies they're likely to have based on the structure of your country or the situation of your country. But the other thing, the other people beyond random characters, your generals and admirals can become leaders, like Santa Ana here, who is the leader of the armed forces. Um, and so if you just sort of keep recruiting generals, you can look for generals associated with. So this guy's the like intelligentsia here. These two are landowners. We can look at their ideologies. This one's authoritarian. This one is pacifist. And if he had, there are also traits affecting their popularity. These guys are all neutral. They don't have anything that affects their popularity. But if you have a popular general or admiral, that there is a possibility that they will become the next leader of the interest group that they associate with when the previous one retires. Oh yeah, so this guy's got 25 popularity. He is disliked. This one's 0. I think they might actually have to be liked. I think it might have to go over 30, and then they can become the leader when the last one retires. So you can kind of like hire generals and then dismiss them and then get new ones until you get the one you're looking for, and then fire interest group leaders and see if they get in power. But it involves a lot of. Also, it makes interest groups unhappy when you fire generals associated with them. So you may be, making things worse in the meantime until you get the thing you're looking for. Why does this? Oh, because it doesn't have an admiral. Oh, I guess we have one fleet that doesn't have an admiral. We should put someone in charge of it. Yeah, let's recruit this guy though. Since he is a Democrat. That's something we would like. Okay. Our market access is not good here due to infrastructure. We basically have no infrastructure and we're using too much of it. Oh, because we have gold. Gold! So people are flocking to this province because there's gold and they don't have enough. Oh god, things are happening. Sorry. This is for the census suffrage attempt to pass. So our Democrat landowner leader will be held accountable for past actions. We will increase chance of success, which seems totally fine to me. We're actually doing pretty well in terms of we have more loyalists than radicals, so that's good. Although our radicals are increasing faster than our loyalists, that's less good. Got France and Britain are getting pretty friendly. The US is not antagonistic toward us. That's progress. They don't want to kill us. Well, okay, they do still have a strategic desire to antagonize us, but they're wary before they were listed as antagonistic. Oh, John Calhoun has become president of the United States. Ideology, slaver. So I'm sure that's gonna go well for them. Oh, we have nothing under construction. Whoops. What do we need at the moment? Probably more construction. This is gonna... I don't know that we can afford this, but... Oh, massively, massively no, we cannot. What does this do? Okay, our iron, that's what we need. That's what I kind of figured. I just wasn't able to see without... Because you can't see the good... Construction doesn't take goods until you actually start construction, so I wasn't sure what we still needed as far as construction goods. Because I let the queue empty out, unfortunately. So... Can I see, like, what's going up and down? Oh, progress bar will change by 0. Great. Cool. Let's see here. What do we need? Do we need more tools? We need... Oh, well, we need more iron so that we can go to iron tools. That will... but in order to do that, we really need... Do we have dye? I think we might have dye. Yeah. In order to do that, we really need atmospheric engine, which we are working on. Atmospheric engine, yeah, we need coal. We should start building coal, I guess. Oh, A famous cafe. So that's our Democrat landowner leader. Recommended that this agitator in exile be brought into our country. He's an authoritarian. No. I mean, he would only try to enact National Guard at the moment, which is not really bad, but I don't want him sticking around to then try to enact other things. He would also, you know, presumably oppose our attempt to enact census suffrage. It's a little weird that this Democrat would be like, yeah, let's get this guy who hates democracy into our country. But that's rich people for you, I guess. Like, look, we can agree to disagree on whether there should be a basic representation of people's desires in our government. We're just getting a huge bonus, like, getting up to 71%, but we haven't actually advanced yet. Which is fine, just funny. Our influence has gone down from something. I'm not sure from what. Well, we're almost done with improving relations. So we can improve relations up to 40. Wait, 40? No, 50. We can improve relations up to 50, and then they'll just stay there unless something drops them. So then we'll get our influence back and we can spend it on something else. We should look, by the way, if they have made any enemies. No, but they do have a trade agreement with Britain, so Britain's pretty friendly with them. So Britain may not be the most helpful. France, of course, historically, is who Mexico would align themselves with against the US, though not to much success. My angry people are growing rapidly. They're growing. Discrimination is a big problem, which is interesting. Or actually, yeah. So discrimination and unfilled political movements. Well, I guess we can try to fulfill this after we pass census suffrage. Discrimination, I think, would probably be from religion rather than. Okay, I guess we do have. Yeah, we do actually have a lot of indigenous people that are discriminated in our country. We have 1.3 million. Uh, these are like indigenous, like Mexican people. So they're Catholic. If we could, yeah. Well, unfortunately, we are not getting to multiculturalism, which is where these people would not be discriminated for. That's a long ways away. Unfortunate. Alright. Some more tech unlocked. Sorry, the Columbia District? Oh, these, right. This British colony. Canadian colony. How much iron would we go up when we go to... Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. A lot. Does, like, double. A little bit of authority. I could also remove some of the ones that I'm not using. This here, this here. Where are we building this? Here. Currently not using that. Zacatecas. I forget where some of these states are in Mexico. There it is. What else could we be doing with our authority? Could maybe bolster the rural folk right now. Oh, are we still running? We are still running it, like... Alright. Which, that's part of why people are very happy with us, is we're running at minimum taxes. Put the taxes up for a little bit, which of course is going to make people unhappy, but... One of the important things, like the dynamics of this game, that I think some people have a little bit of trouble getting used to, is like, people being poor does not make them unhappy inherently, other than... So there is a expected standard of living that goes up over time as like sort of labor organization develops. I think this could be a lot more built out, but anyway, regardless, the basic system, there is a minimum, but like right now, that minimum for our lower strata pops. So the different jobs are organized into lower, middle, and upper, which is how much they get paid, kind of, and also their expectations. So obviously the lower strata are the vast majority of our population. They have a minimum expectation of 5 right now, which is like barely above starving. Like they have very, very low expectations. So they will not get mad from being poor as long as they are above that. The thing that makes them mad is if they gain wealth and then lose it. It is the like yo-yoing effect, because radicals get created when pops drop in wealth level, regardless of what wealth level they're at and what they're going to. Very, very rich people get mad when they lose some of their money. Poor people get mad when they get poorer. Middle class people get mad when they get poorer. But they're not mad by being poor. So that's an important And the same thing with loyalists is loyalists go up when you increase when their standard of living goes up. Um, the other thing that's kind of confusing for people is radicals are not radical and loyalists are not loyal because of a certain condition. They are created by an event, like again, a pop gaining standard of living or losing standard of living. So when a pop goes down in standard of living, some of them become radicals. They will stay radical until something else makes them uh, become loyal, basically. And the way that works is that a pop can have a certain percentage of radicals, like it can have a certain percent of loyalists. It can't have both at the same time. Anytime that there would be something that would make, if a pop has radicals in it and it would gain loyalists, what happens instead is radicals stop being radicals. So it's kind of a three-step, 3 stages. And then once there are no more radicals, and then they gain loyalists, then they actually gain loyalists, and vice versa with the creation of radicals. Um, but yeah, pops will stay radical because of some event until some new event makes them not be radical. And so, because if you look at this, like, I think a lot of times I look at this and I'm like, okay, why are people radical? I need to change that, right? And if it says like, oh, people, it's just a little bit confusing in terms of like, you can't remove the thing that made them radical because it's already happened. It's an event, not a condition. The thing you could do is create new events that make them less radical, that convert people back to being neutral or loyal. Which, of course, for standard of living is making them wealthier. This does mean, again, like one of the consequences of this is if you can change your taxes at any time. You can go up and down. This probably shouldn't be the case, but you can. You can just do this. But you don't want to do it constantly because it will just generate a ton of radicals. Like theoretically, it may even out because when you lower taxes, you gain loyalists. They're converting back. Although I think the base rate is there are more radicals gained from losing standard of living than there are loyalists gained from increasing standard of living. There are various laws and stuff that will change that. It could shift that in your favor, and at that point it actually becomes good to yo-yo as long as you're overall improving people's standard of living. Like guaranteed liberties is really good for that. This is plus 5%, or 5% less radicals from standard living decreases, 5% more radicals from standard living increases. This is per level of the institution. I haven't showed institutions yet, but certain laws enable institutions, which are a thing over here, and basically they have modifiers that go up the more administration you provide to them. They cost more bureaucracy as you level them up, but then their effects increase. So a max level guaranteed liberties institution is like, minus 25% radicals and plus 25% loyalists, something like that. And you can really use the yo-yo to like powerfully increase loyalists a lot. So that's kind of a weird dynamic that you could do. But yeah, right now we are definitely gaining, because we put our taxes back up, we are gaining a whole bunch of radicals because people are mad at paying taxes that they weren't for a while. Oh well. We're not building anything again. God, I'm bad at it. Normally I'm very good at watching my construction queue, and I just haven't been paying attention to it that much in this game, which is strange, honestly. We do need more coal. I know we're not using it yet, but we will need a lot. I don't know if you guys heard, but this Industrial Revolution, coal was very important. Oh, we have a movement to preserve the oligarchy now. Oddly backed by the trade unions, which is interesting. They're not relevant. We do have our industrialists have just become relevant, very slightly. But that's fine. Yeah, it's still only a 10% stall chance, which is the negative, um, the flat negative result. Um, so it's not too worrying. Yeah, we've passed into the last stage. We just need to make one more 66% check, and then we will succeed in enacting democracy. Asterisk. Well, yeah, I guess we could lower taxes and then do consumption taxes with our authority. I probably should be building more construction. I just haven't been doing as good of a job with keeping on top of all this stuff. You can really, kind of push stuff really hard when you are paying a lot of attention and know what you're doing. But I'm playing pretty lax and just obviously trying to talk through stuff. Our standard of living, you can see, has gone down slightly. It's back below 10 due to our taxes. People are not making as much money or not spending as much money on things because they're paying more in taxes. All right, there we go. We've maxed out our relations with France and Britain. You can see that so France is very friendly toward us. Actually, they're genial. You can see Britain, even though we have maxed out relations, is still cautious toward us. They view us as a militarily threatening neighbor, which I think is, yeah, they do technically have some territory over here. British Guatemala. That seems a little silly, but yeah, France is definitely our more obvious friend against the United States. But we're still working on improving our relations with the United States. Maybe we can, they are not damaging our relations yet. Maybe we'll get up there. Maybe we'll be able to, let's see, is there anyone else who would want to help us? Maybe make friends with Russia? They've got American interests. And each of these capacities, when you have excess of them, does give you a small bonus. So having the excess authority reduces enactment time. That's the timer on our law cycle. Where we get a check every time this circle fills. Having excess influence increases our infamy decay. Infamy is what we get from doing like conquest. Basically, it's diplomatically negative things. There's some other ways to gain infamy besides conquering, but that's the main one. This doesn't benefit from us because we have no infamy. We have not conquered anyone, so we're really not getting any benefit from not using our influence. We probably should. I don't know. We can make friends with New Granada, maybe, or Brazil. Cannot make friends with Brazil. So the reason, by the way, that determines who we can diplomatically interact with is where our interests lie, our diplomatic interests. So we have diplomatic interest in Mexico, of course. This is a diplomatic region. We have one in Central America. We have one in Dixie. We have one in the Pacific Coast region. So we have ones, these are orange. We have ones in these regions that are orange because we actually have territory there. We have a state within these regions, so we automatically get them. Because we are a minor power, yeah, we have one additional interest that we declare, which is currently in the Great Plains, which we're using to colonize, because we can't colonize territory here if we don't have an interest. But the other thing, so diplomatic interest, you determine where you can colonize if you have colonizing. But the big thing they determine is you can only diplomatically interact with countries that have an interest in the same area you have an interest with, or that you share a border with. So we cannot have we can't interact with Brazil because Brazil doesn't have an interest in any of our areas, which means they don't have an interest in Central America, which is a little bit surprising, or like up here. Yeah, I guess they have an interest in. Well, I guess, yeah, this is Gran Colombia, I think. So I guess they have an interest that's separate from this, from Central America. So they have an interest up here in Gran Colombia. They have an interest in the Andes over here. And then they have an interest in Brazil, of course. Oh boy. Is our... No? Okay. An agitator appears. Who is this? A petty bourgeois agitator who is a protectionist. I mean, those are great. I support him, but the landowners don't. Coming up on our next, this is labeled as voting, which, like, we don't have. I guess the oligarchy is voting. The, like, Council of Generals is voting. Oh, this agitator has come and then immediately realized that no one supports him, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I don't think he's actually going to have any success here, so we'll let him leave. That happens sometimes. It's a little weird where agitators show up and then they immediately realize, okay, so we had our check, we didn't pass it, but we did have an advance, which is progression. Yeah, let's take this. Plus 15% success chance, minus 20% time to the next check, so that's great. That's basically the best result other than just succeeding, and we have an 82% chance to succeed on the next one, so let's hope. Again, it would... the worst case scenario here is this guy retires, again, as we're on the last legs, and the landowners start opposing it. We'd be in trouble. We'll try to avoid that. Not that there's anything we can do about it. Alright, so we're building. We need some more tools, which we're going to use iron for. How close are we on Amsterdam Engine? 4 to 7 weeks. Okay, we're getting there. Our iron. We have... God, what are we... Oh, the pops are actually buying coal to use for heating. I actually didn't expect them to do that. Okay. That's fine. We could use more wood. Always use more wood. Let's build more wood. Oh, that's interesting. There's some... Oh, these are up in... Yeah, in the north. They don't have enough people to actually work their logging camps. That's not too surprising. A place like California just doesn't really have a lot of people in it yet. 120,000. There are 25,000 peasants. This is another thing that is a bit in a recent change. It used to be peasants would always go work anywhere else because wages are always higher, technically, everywhere else. Partly due to the way peasant wages work a bit differently than other jobs' wages, because they're somewhat self-sufficient. But they introduced this measure, which I can show. If we look at these peasants, these guys. Oh, there's atmospheric engine. I'm gonna pause it. They introduced a measure of job satisfaction. And so pops will only look for different jobs if their job satisfaction is negative. So these guys actually are. They would be happy to go to another job. But in a lot of places now, what you'll find is that peasants will start with a positive job satisfaction. And so they will not change their job to go work in a factory or something. They're happier being a peasant on a subsistence farm than working in a horrible industrial factory or a mine. Who knew? They do not yearn for the mines. And so you now have to really work to force your peasants off of their land. Uh, and there are various ways to do this. The simplest one, though, is if you just build a ton of farms, even if no one's working them, you are forcing those you can just forcibly force those peasants off. It'll make them mad, right? Because they're going to become unemployed probably, or they'll go back to working on the farms maybe. But if they're on the farms, they're not working as peasants; they're working as laborers, which are easier to get to move around. There's some other ways to do it. Also, people with more literacy, more education, are generally don't want to be peasants. So that's kind of a nicer way to get people to move off. Although you'd think they wouldn't want to move to be like. Well, actually, it is true. They generally still don't want to be factory workers. But All right, so we're turning on. Right, they add this. I don't care. Turn it on anyway. They added this notification, which is interesting. Of like, hey, would you like to only turn on the production methods where it's going to be profitable? And sometimes yes, but in this case, no. We're also going to turn this on and see if that works. We can turn this on too. I think this should work. We'll see. Okay, we need a lot more coal. Okay. That, I guess, okay. We'll see. This may be a problem. Where's our coal mine? Down here. Yeah, we have road maintenance, which is a decree. It's increasing the construction speed there. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, it's a really interesting change to have peasants like just want to stick to their land, which is historical. This is the enclosure movement, and various similar situations that people do not want to work in factories. They do not want to move to the city when they've spent their whole lives, living on a farm that their parents probably worked, and their parents' parents, generations, oftentimes. Moving is a big deal. It's still a big, deal. Like a lot of times, like the sort of business press is like, people just move to some, some other city where it's cheaper or whatever. And it's like, that's ludicrous to treat that as something casual. It's expensive, even if you want to do it, in addition to all the, like, social stuff. It's kind of infuriating. We have completed the atmospheric engine. Oh, also, I just realized we probably still have, yeah, let's get rid of foreign laws by now. I forgot we had corn laws on. Let's get that. The landowners are mad. That's unfortunate. I maybe should have waited because I forgot that they would get mad, but it's okay. Oh, we've had a cyclone. That's bad. How is our coal? Okay, our coal's, it's not a shortage anymore, so that's good. Again, it's still, it's expensive, but yeah, we're kind of, everything is expensive in terms of our construction loop here. We got expensive tools, we got expensive iron. not too expensive wood, but we could stand to have more of that. We're actually good on fabric. So yeah, we're gonna want to buy more, or build more tool workshops and iron mines, in addition to our coal. How much is our coal per level? Because I don't think we actually need 3. 40 per level, sorry. So, yeah, let's build 1 and then build more iron. And then build more tools. And move these later coal mines down there. And we'll kind of see where we're at after those are done. There we go. All right. So, by becoming a democracy, albeit a limited one. Oh, there's another new president. Oh my. Sorry, Cornelius Vanderbilt is president of the United States. That's something. The industrialists are not in the government. Damn. The Whigs hold the presidency, but not Congress. They have a somewhat sizable movement to ban slavery, which they're probably going to ignore. See how that goes for them. That's interesting. Yeah, so we are going to have elections now, and we have parties now. Oh, this is very funny. So parties, the different interest groups can join together into parties. Currently, we have not had any of them join together in a party. They're all in their own party, other than these ones at the bottom, which do want to join the Conservative Party, but they can't until the until they're on the same side, basically. So yeah, we have 5 parties formed. All of which are running in our election. So we have census suffrage, which means our election is there is a wealth threshold, so only 15 wealth pops and above can vote, I guess. And then there's also an increased like the weight of those votes is partially based on wealth and then partially based on, well, I guess it's based on political strength, which is itself based on wealth. Oh, I get, but this is a bonus, right, from literacy as well. And then there are other like sort of native bonuses or penalties, like discrimination. Obviously, reduces your wealth weight. Discriminated pops don't matter as much. Stuff like that. This does mean until we have an election, we have basically a dead government. We can't really do anything. But our elections, in 180 days, and we'll see. Currently, the Agrarian Party is winning, which makes some sense, because even though census suffrage is still weighted towards wealth and education, it is much, much less than landed voting or wealth voting, which are these other two, more discriminatory options. And so, excuse me, our sort of middle class pops, which are mostly still rural. All our pops are mostly still rural, but our middle class pops do have a decent sway in the election. God damn it. Excuse me. Which means they're likely to carry over like the landowners, for example. So yeah, let's we'll see how that works out. But you can kind of see, like, again, the industrialists have come into power. They're actually getting to be pretty, decently. You can see how their cloud is going up. This is industrialists mostly. We look at them here. Who's supporting them? It's mostly going to be capitalists and some shopkeepers. Actually, very small number of people supporting them, right? Like, this is 1,000 people, 1,200, and yet there are 20,000, 18,000 people supporting the landowners. 3,000 here. So, like, that's a difference of about, what, a times 7? And yet the clout difference is like times 4. Because the industrialists on the whole are richer than the aristocrats that are backing the landowners. I don't care about supporting Patriotic Party. Because these capitalists are the people are probably going to be owning. Well, okay, the richest ones own the gold mines. That's actually they're not the richest ones, but they own gold mines. Let's see here. Own logging camps, textile mills, the tooling factories, iron mines, stuff like that. Yeah, they're obscenely wealthy. 46 average. Compared to even the aristocrats, who are an average of 28. Because they mostly own subsistence farms, which just aren't that profitable. So you can see how the demographics, as we're building up this industry in our country, is affecting the politics, because the industrialists have become a substantial force. Fields have been depleted. Okay, that's fine. And they're going to get more and more powerful as we build up more and more industry. And they're, as I kind of mentioned earlier, the landowners are going to get weaker and weaker as we reduce the number of subsistence farms and rural agricultural industry in our country, and replace it with mines and factories and stuff. Okay, the United States has claimed a bunch of our territory. They've declared manifest destiny, and our relations are back to negative. Not great. They're fighting some Native Americans. Would you guys like, no? Okay. Yeah, we really gotta, like, keep on trying to keep the United States happy, prevent them from coming after us. They're probably gonna come after us, and I'm not really prepared for that, to be honest. But that's fine. Let's look here. Here's our coal. We still have not enough coal. Not enough tools. Not enough iron, of course. So we definitely do need that additional coal. Put that up, actually. Do I not have... I guess I don't. Let's put the road maintenance back on that to help our construction speed. Yeah, let's see this first election at least. See how this goes. Looks like the Agrarian Party's gonna win. Not too surprising. There are times when one of the things that can happen if you manage to enact sort of census suffrage, or especially universal suffrage, if you get egalitarianism, that's the tech that unlocks this, and you enact universal suffrage very early, you will often find what happens to the rural folk just completely dominate your government. And the rural folk their base laws preferences are not super progressive, to be honest. They definitely want to get out of the land, the sort of landed aristocracy. They would like to get rid of them, but after that, they are not really in favor of a lot of things you might want to be passing. And so it can become kind of a problem. Oh yeah, please reduce the momentum of the Conservative Party. There's a bunch of weird mechanics with elections in terms of momentum is a weird thing, in the way that voter strength works and stuff, but for the most part, you don't have to worry about it too much. But it does all flow out of, oh, there we go, election. All flows out of, again, the kind of those base pops and their affiliations and their wealth and their positions and stuff. So we have elected, this is one thing. So because we are a presidential republic, technically, even though this really wasn't relevant before, there's a presidential republic government and there's a parliamentary republic government. The difference between these, there are some differences in like modifiers and stuff, but one of the big differences is in a presidential republic, whoever wins the election, whoever gets the most votes in the election, the leader of the interest group with the most clout in the party that wins becomes the leader of the country. Full stop. Until the next election, right? Even though, like, we have not put the rural folk into power, right? But they won the election, so they automatically become president. In a parliamentary republic, the leader of the country is the leader of the most powerful interest group that is in government. So if we had a parliamentary republic, the leader would still be Valentine here, until we swapped out. And then whenever you swap it out, the prime minister would get updated. So I generally prefer parliamentary republic because it gives you more control over who's actually leading the country. But obviously we started with presidential republic, so that's fine. We are, of course, going to put the agrarian party into power. We're going to kick out the landowners. Oh, great. So we have these little preview options up here. These tell us the most highest legitimacy. That's this number, which is this up here. And we get penalties for having low legitimacy and bonuses for having high legitimacy. And this is based on various stuff about how well these different groups get together, like agree with each other and how powerful they are, and how they compare with like who's in the leader of the country. But these are the like highest legitimacy options that you can have with your current state. And so this tells us the intelligentsia will get us up to 96 because they did win a decent chunk of the election. They were third. So they're third, but the Agrarian and Conservative Party would make a very bad coalition because they disagree on so much, right? This is the landowners and the small farmers. They hate each other, whereas the small farmers and the intelligentsia, the backers of the Liberal Party, don't really disagree. I think they have kind of orthogonal concerns, to be honest. They don't really support the same things, but they don't oppose each other's interests. And so they make a great coalition, and that's great for us because the intelligentsia do want to pass most of the things we want to pass. So let's do that. Also, so normally if you change who's in your government, you gain radicals based on whoever you're kicking out. People don't like to be kicked out of government. One of the benefits of having elections is you do get a free reform after each election. So you get to, because technically, if you have an election, and for example, the rural folk won the election, we could just ignore it and leave the landowners in power. And people would be angry because so we'd have a low legitimacy because the landowners didn't win the election. And you could again kind of like, how does that happen? You kind of have to imagine abstractly, like, there are a lot of situations where people who win elections do not end up in control of the government. And the game isn't gonna give you the specific mechanics of that, just kind of let you imagine how that would happen in the particular scenario. Um, and it just, people get upset because the government is considered illegitimate. But you are free to do it. But we've put these guys in power, so let's look at what we could try to pass now. We could try to abolish the state religion, which would be great. Although we don't actually have that many people being discriminated from our religion, I believe. Look over here again. A little bit. But I think these people... Yeah, these people would be discriminated anyway. Yeah, these people would be discriminated. I guess our Dixie population, or our Afro-Caribeño, I guess, so that would be. I guess these people, well, these people already aren't discriminated. But yeah, the Protestant Dixies, which are the Texans, basically, the white Texans, would not be discriminated. I think literally that's the only people. So I'm not really concerned about them. So not worried about that. We try to change our trade policy. Is this because the leader of the... No, just the rural folk in general prefer protectionism. That's pretty good. I do prefer protectionism over mercantilism. This affects our trade. We're not actually... I haven't really looked at trade a whole lot. It hasn't been a big concern of ours, but yeah, we do actually have a decent amount of trade going on. God, we were trading a lot with Britain, which is interesting. We should get rid of these that are like... Oh, I see. Because we don't... We have this tiny navy, and we don't produce any warships. Okay, I did not realize that. Do we not produce any of this shit? Is that why? It's like, we have these unproductive trade routes, let's get rid of them. Oh, do we not actually make any of that stuff, but we're using it all? That would be kind of a problem. We'll deal with that in a second. But yeah, protectionism, so protectionism affects your tariffs. I mean, your trade policy affects your tariffs broadly. But that's not that big of a deal. Changing our tax policy would be good, but I kind of prefer to wait until we can go straight to proportional and skip per capita, because it is easier. Basically, once you go to there are a number of groups that are, yeah, if we look at this here. For example, the petty bourgeoisie and the armed forces, maybe even the rural folk, actually, if I look, I'm not sure. Yes, the rural folk included. They don't favor proportional over per capita, and so if you pass per capita, it becomes much harder to pass proportional taxation later. And you really do want to get to proportional or even graduated by the end of the game. These are basically progressively, like, per capita is, it's not a flat tax, but it is closer to a flat tax. These are increasingly, well, land-based is regressive tax, consumption-based is like no taxes. It's a wild. Mary tried to do a consumption-based economy at one point, which was very funny. And then proportional and graduated are increasingly progressive taxes. You can see, actually, we would not make a lot of money on these. We'd make more on per capita, and then less proportional, and then even less on graduated. That's because they're taxing, mainly taxing dividends, which is the profit on buildings, rather than wages. And we just don't actually have that much yet. But by the end of the game, as you industrialize, as you build up the economy, the amount of dividends in the economy will go up a lot. And you can eventually tax those capitalists, you can make a lot of money taxing them. Um, assuming you don't have just a massive amount of peasants. I did have a very funny game when I was playing India. I started as the East India Company and then broke away and became an Indian state, unified India, and made less money on proportional taxation than graduated taxation because I think even maybe less on per capita than I think these were both maybe less than land-based or graduated. And the reason for that was basically because land-based is primarily taxing peasants. Per capita reduces the tax on peasants and taxes everyone else more. And then proportional taxes is big on the income tax. So it doesn't have as much flat tax, or it removes the flat tax actually entirely. But it's mainly an income tax, and then graduated tax is partly an income tax and mostly a dividends tax. And basically, the nature of the sort of advanced Indian economy was there was still millions of peasants, and so you could make a lot of money taxing them. There was some very very rich capitalists, make a bunch of money taxing them. There was very little middle class of people to tax in the middle, which was extremely funny and bizarre of the situation. It made sense. I just had not seen it before, because generally per capita is always going to be an increase, and then these will be sort of step downs until as your economy develops more and more. And a certain point proportional will be more than per capita, and then eventually graduated will be more than proportional. But that relies on eliminating your peasants and employing them productively elsewhere. Anyway, yeah, let's try to look at our situation here. So we have like one barracks using artillery. We have our one naval base. Oh, we don't have any paper production. I thought we had a paper mill, but we don't. Okay, let's look at our military and remove the artillery. Oh, we do have this one cannon artillery. Okay. This is, probably not a great idea when the United States may be coming for us, but maybe we should be building up our military. The boats. Yes. Wait, can you really not, Oh, right. I forgot to do this. You have to go back to here now. I'm just gonna get rid of this. This is absurd. This one frigate. Like, this is dumb. Not doing anything. Okay. Let's build paper. Yeah, let's build it in the capital because it's gonna be used by government administrations eventually. And that's where most of our government administrations are gonna be. They currently are. Yeah, if we look here, where are most of them? Yeah, we have 7 in the capital, and then a couple elsewhere. So we'll get that paper built. We can maybe move that up a bit. Let me have that built. Looks like we need more. Oh, we have completed the path to liberalism, which is great. This is our radical. Who's this? This is the leader of the trade unions? No. Yeah. Let's promote our radical rural folk leader. And we get some new journal entries from moving into liberalism. Which are... Wait, why did this one... Oops. Not that. Give me that, thank you. Freedom of trade we probably won't do, because that involves enacting freedom of trade. Gonna unpin that, actually. Freedom of thought I would like to do. But yeah, that would involve changing our laws some. How is... Okay, we are reducing our Caudillo progress bar. So that's good. Yeah, you can see the rural folk are very happy with us. Um, Nobody else is actually all that mad. Right, we were kind of looking at some of these laws. We do not want to go to... That's one of the things about rural folk, is they really like closed borders. Closed borders is fucking terrible as a law. And also stupid, because not only does this... basically, migration controls in this game is not just from country to country. It actually isn't primarily country to country. Primarily what it is within your own country, moving between states. So closed borders prevents people from moving from one region to another, which is very bad for you. We could try to pass homesteading again. The landowners, of course, would disapprove. They would be extremely mad. Would they be able to stop us? They would probably still revolt. Probably still be enough to revolt. I guess the reason to pass, abolish the state religion is it makes the Catholic Church more powerful, and it would be good to disempower them. But let's try and pass homesteading and just see if the landowners, like, if they're capable of mounting a revolt to stop this. That seems worth trying. I'm also gonna wrap up soon. Gonna figure out my dinner and stuff. But hopefully this has been interesting for people. Got any more questions, please ask. Fucking Cornelius Vanderbilt. No chance for an alliance with France. Let me look again. I don't think so. Yeah, they're actually less likely now. We'd have to build up our military, basically, which we probably should do anyway. Oh, right, now we're republics. They're a little less, God. Look at this fucker, the king. Okay, there's the revolution. From the landowners. It is currently, so 95 radicalism means it can only get to 95%. It can't actually fire, except by events increasing the chance, which can happen, but technically, this is, what happened to, did Santa Anna die or something? And I didn't see it. No, he's still around. This is the other army, I guess. The other general died. Let's get this guy. Yeah, basically France does not see the benefit of trying to have a general alliance with us. That doesn't mean they wouldn't defend us if the U.S. attacked. If the U.S. attacked, we haven't seen the way that actually like wars work in this game, other than like starting wars. We saw because when we started a war with Texas, the war had already started. It really wasn't much of a war, to be honest. But basically, there's a stage before the war actually starts, which is called the diplomatic play, where anyone that has interests in the area where the war is going to take place can potentially join the war. And then people can back down, basically, in response to that, or there's a bunch of maneuvering that can kind of happen. Who is this? Oh, this is the leader of the Royal Folk. I don't actually... He actually will be forced to step down, and I don't want that. But this is gonna make them more happy, or more unhappy, which would be bad. Alright, well, we'll see how this goes. I'm trying to navigate this. What would this civil war even look like? Okay, all central Mexico, which is not great. Not the capital, but... yeah, so because France does like us, and what is the U.S.? What is their attitude toward the U.S.? They are neutral. France views the United States as a potential threat. Okay, yeah. So we probably could offer them something in exchange for them defending us against the United States if the United States attacks. Now, whether they would end up, actually bringing enough people over to defend us is, who knows? Oh my God, we stall on our first one, or second one, I guess, rather, which is unfortunate. It's about an equal chance of success versus stall, but yeah, this is the only one that reduces, or does not reduce success chance. See, their radicalism is going up to 98. It'll probably get up to 100, and then it'll be able to actually fire the revolution. And we'll have to decide whether we want to fight that or back down before then. So keeping in mind that the United States might see that as a good opportunity to come after us, which would be bad. It'd be really nice if they had a civil war right now. Oh yeah, I hadn't looked at our radicals and loyalists in a while, but you can see we have a lot of loyalists, 500,000 or so, and not very many radicals, and that is of course because we passed. Basically, people are, the Republic, I think, are voting. I think people are happy with that. We have high legitimacy. Okay. France is embargoing Britain. Are they fighting? That would not be great. No, they're not. They're invading Algeria, as France is wont to do. Let's just improve our chances of passing homesteading here. this event. It takes a really long time to build a paper factory. Yeah, one thing that is important, I think another thing that is not obvious in the game, but is quite important, is that different buildings take different amounts of time to build, or rather different amounts of construction points, quite drastically. And so the cheapest ones are farms. If I can see here, yeah, 200 construction for a farm. A mine is 400 construction. I think stuff like logging camps are also, no, logging camps are 200. So those are also very cheap. So yeah, I guess it's all the plantations, fishing, and logging are 200. All the mines are 400. Factories, your urban buildings, are all basically 600. And so they are 3 times. It takes 3 times as long to build a factory as it does to build a farm. So that's this is a problem, huh? Well, shit. Yeah, there's basically no way. Okay, okay. Oh, that's good. So we increase the radicalism of the landowners, but we reduce their influence. Oh, I also fuck need to be suppressing them, and I forgot. I should have been suppressing them a long time ago. That would have helped. Yeah, we decrease their influence, so their overall sort of radicalism, their overall power has gone down, which is good. Because if we can, the further away we can get that from 100, the less chance this has to actually fire, and I would prefer not to fight revolution. Also, we are back to 10 standard of living with our actual, on medium taxes, so that's good. We are going up in standard of living, even outside of our taxes, which is good. We're still making money with our. So I'm gonna build more construction. Intelligentsia. Yeah, that's great. That's not good. It is very funny that Ballantine here, the Democrat, is still leading the landowners because he championed the institution of democracy, and that of course the elections immediately turned in a verdict for dismantling the tenant farming system of the landowners, and now he's fucking mad. And leading a democracy, not that way. You're not supposed to then vote to take me out of my money. Does Spain have interest in North America? That's a good question. They have an interest in Colombia, which is up here, sort of North and South America, and the Caribbean. They don't have an interest actually in North America proper. They're also not very powerful, to be honest. They do have a big army. I think it's not very good. Well, we can't do that. We can technically risk this. Jesus. Okay, yeah. Went to 98%. Okay, so it should technically go down next time because it should go to 90 towards 93. But we need to not have an event that, you know, increases it. This is we're really riding a fine line here. It's our, okay, we need tools. And coal, of course. It's me or them. Oh, this is, oh, this is a different Valentine. This is the leader of the intelligentsia. Why are you want, you're happy. What is your problem? I don't really care. I don't think you matter that much. Okay, we got, and the playwright event again. Actually kind of just like to keep getting prestige out of that, even though maybe it would be better to try and actually just get homesteading passed, but the permanent prestige, it is permanent prestige you get from that other event option, which is quite nice. Yeah, I don't appreciate this this guy, yeah, this Valentine, like looking at the extremely volatile political situation right now and trying to get something out of it. That seems fucked. Okay. Yeah, we can. So Santa Anna's now trying to get something out of it. I am giving him what he wants. I would be scared of the armed forces joining. Let's see, October. Okay, we're not that far away. We do have to withstand at least one more. Oh right, this is just to get to voting. We'll need at least 2 more votes. Oh boy. Really straddling this line here. Guess let's see if we can pass homesteading, and then I'll probably end. The U.S. is still, we're still able to increase relations with the U.S. The U.S. is still just wary towards us. It's not, oh yeah, I guess you could see, so see here, this is a native uprising. This is the decentralized nation that is being settled, you know, rising up, trying to fight back against the U.S. So this is a diplomatic play. This is what it looks like when someone's trying to declare war. Technically, we could join this war. We could align ourselves with one of these sides. We're not going to do that, obviously. Oh, good. Let's do that, please. But yeah, you can either just unilaterally join one side, or you can basically ask for something in return for their support, or they can offer you something for support, and then, you know, people can react to those changes. If somebody joins one side, you know, maybe somebody else is more likely to join the other side because now they get to fight that country. Generally, native uprisings don't involve anyone getting involved, and then the uprising just gets crushed. But sometimes somebody steps in. They basically can't win on their own, right? So it really only matters if someone steps in. So we got this down to 87, which is a little more comfortable. Getting out of the below 90 makes me feel a lot better. And we did pass into voting, so we're on the last stage. We just got to get one more. Still got a 20% stall chance, which isn't great, but the other thing, yeah, if we pass homesteading because we're gonna wipe out the aristocrats, the landowner's clout will crater, and the rural folks' clout will shoot up even more, and they'll also be, they'll be extremely happy. We'll get a lot of loyalists out of it, and also more like the way that pop consumption works and the way that wealth works is like, a high number of middle class people, which is what the people owning farms would be, consumes more than a small number of extremely wealthy people like the aristocrats. And so trading out the aristocrat owners for farmer owners, even though the farmer owners, it results in an overall increase in economic demand, which is good for economic growth, even if you don't particularly care about, like, even if you just don't have a hatred of the aristocrats as a group. Um, we're still making money. There we go. Landowners are no longer powerful. Yeah, their clout just dropped and is gonna keep going. And the rural folk clout is gonna shoot up. Um, yeah, so they're still influential. They're not nobodies. They're still a decent block here, with especially with the church and the petty bourgeoisie backing them as well. But they're gonna keep going down. They basically that is basically the peak of their power has been hit, and they're just gonna keep going down from here, which is cool. Um, Start trying to pass perfectionism, but I think I'm just gonna stop here and go figure out my dinner. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I had fun. I hope this was interesting. I again really like this game in spite of its flaws. I think it is really worthwhile doing things that nobody else is really doing. Um, and I hope people got something out of it. Get to learn. So I'll be back tomorrow. My regular stream. We'll be playing more Megaquarium, the new expansion with Darcy. So come stop by for that, and have a good rest of your night, everyone.